When we talk about Silicon Valley investors, it seems that there's not much innovation happening. The truth is far from it. There's a lot of innovation happening under the hood, not only by the way investment firms are raising or deploying capital, but by the rise of solo investors. And on top of the field is Elad Gill, who recently raised a fund of $620 million. Who is Elad Gill and how did he do it? Born in Jerusalem, Elad Gill moved between United States and Israel and ended up studying molecular biology and mathematics at the University of California, San Diego, and then finished his studies with a PhD in biology at MIT. After a few stints in consulting firms and startups, he joined Google in 2004. There he worked on expanding search on mobile devices, and in 2005 he helped Google acquire a small company called Android, which then developed the mobile operating system that's used in 1 billion devices. But then he left in 2007 to start his first company, a developer tools company called Mixer Labs. Over the next year, he and a former Google employee started creating network events in Sand Hill Road to encourage other people to start companies. One of these events had the founder of Pay Interest as a speaker, Ben Silberman, who would let Elad Gill invest in their seed round in 2009. At that same year, Twitter bought Mixer Lab Tools for $5 million in stock purchase. Elad became vice president of corporate strategy. There, Elad would help lead the efforts to expand Twitter internationally and also with their recruiting efforts. He wasn't there for long. He left in 2012 to start Color Genomics, an at-home genetics kit that would help people assess their risk to diseases like cancer. But he kept investing in startups. He would meet the Collison's brother through Hipmunk's CEO introduction, Adam Goldstein, and he would eventually invest his own money into Stripe's Series A and Series B rounds. The Collison's brother will look for Elad Gill for first-hand advice on acquiring startups, as he was part of different acquisitions himself. The brothers were sitting at a San Francisco Zuni cafe when they sent a message to Elad. Elad Gill showed up at the cafe 20 minutes later with a napkin that had a framework that he devised startups of how acquisitions should look like. The Collisons have returned the favor and let Elad invest in the subsequent rounds. But because of such high valuation, Elad had to get external backers through special purpose vehicles. Industry veterans credit Elad Gill for inventing this financial tool so that individual investors could invest in larger rounds. Stripe's whose shares trade the company at $160 billion market cap value make Stripe one of his most valuable investments, and he plans to hold in the next 10 years.
I'm very unsophisticated about it. I think I have almost a Forrest Gump style approach.
That is so honest. Thank you for that.
If something just keeps compounding, why would you sell out of it? And so, for example, my intention with Stripe is to just hold Stripe for the next 10 years. I think it's just going to keep growing at a really good rate forever. I hold almost my entire position of Square, which I invested in many years ago. And just in public markets, I've just sat on it and it's been compounding.
In 2016, Elad has stepped down as CEO of Color Genomics, but he kept investing in newer startup companies like Airtable, Figma, Notion, and even Samsara. As he did more deals, he would seek out startup founders, even though he wouldn't invest at the time. In one of these instances, Elad reached out to Brian Armstrong, advising him after the 2017 crypto winter to buy out other crypto startups. These deals were extremely favorable for Coinbase, and Brian Armstrong would return the favor and let Elad Gill invest in the subsequent round. Some of Elad Gill's sway with founders is that he can invest just taking a smaller portion of the company. That's compared to VC firms that have to take a certain percentage size so that they can return the money to their limited partners. With all this activity, Elad raised a fund of $620 million, a much larger fund compared to his first fund that he raised of $300 million. His latest fund dwarfs Benchmark Capital fund of $425 million. That's very promising for solo investors. We'll see if this trend continues and if more and more solo investors follow his lead. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and watch this video that the YouTube algorithm likes. Thank you. Bye.